Good morning. It is time to ring in a new academic year. In order to make these remarks easily accessible for the entire college community and to avoid a large indoor gathering, I am pre-recording the State of the College presentation for streaming on the morning of our fall convocation. My thanks to the media services team for their invaluable assistance. The beginning of the fall semester is a time to reflect on our journey together over the past year, where we are at this moment, and what lies ahead. I want to begin with a reminder of how we are operating on campus at this time. As I shared via email on July 15th and again recently, wearing a face mask is still required indoors. A supply of face masks is available for employees, students, and visitors in key locations throughout the Edison campus and at both centers. Check with your supervisor if you have questions. Meetings may be conducted in person, although many meetings will continue to be conducted via Zoom. The college's contracted food service vendor, now known as Gourmet Dining, will be operating the Pony Express kiosk station in the lobby of Main Hall beginning this week. Watch for posted hours of operation. They are also stocking vending machines throughout the Edison campus and at each center. As of this week, full-time employees other than 10-month faculty are now working on campus 100% of the time. Our 10-month faculty colleagues will begin teaching next week with the beginning of the fall semester, and all 10-month faculty will be teaching at least 2 of their courses on campus. Approximately 40% of courses this semester will be either fully in person or hybrid, with the remainder split roughly between online and remote live. The results of the voluntary confidential survey of employees indicates that 95% of us report having been vaccinated. I hope everyone gets vaccinated. At this time, and consistent with the vast majority of non-residential colleges and nearly all other community colleges, students and employees will not be required to show proof of vaccination in order to be on campus. That may change in the future. Just one more thought about wearing a face mask. Many of us, especially those of us who are vaccinated, have grown accustomed to mask wearing being optional at most businesses and retail spaces. Please remember to wear a face mask at all times when indoors on college grounds. Studies show that the most effective measures we can take to limit the transmission of COVID-19 are to get vaccinated and wear a face mask indoors. Let's look back on the spring semester and the amazing things we accomplished together. We developed and launched new credit and non-credit programs, including the following: Cybersecurity Associate and Applied Science Program, Supply Chain and Logistics Associate and Applied Science and Certificate Programs, Data Science Associate and Science Program, Pharmacy Tech Training, Manufacturing 101 Boot Camp, Pre-Apprenticeship Healthcare Boot Camp, and 9/11 Dispatcher Telecommunicator Training. The latter is a great example of collaboration between academic affairs and continuing education, as this new stackable credential opportunity was developed in partnership between faculty and academic administrators and continuing ed staff to meet the needs of municipalities in Middlesex County and beyond. The initial 9/11 Dispatcher non-credit training stacks into a public safety telecommunications certificate that then stacks into our criminal justice, police science, associate and science program. Thanks to everyone who had a hand in developing this new stackable credential program, and to the folks in marketing who developed the marketing materials for it. We graduated a record number of students in May, even as our enrollment has been decreasing. We established new dual enrollment programs with Edison High School, J.P. Stevens High School, and Middlesex High School. We prepared for and hosted a successful site visit by the Middlesex Commission on Higher Education and a radiography program accreditation site visit. We honored outstanding teaching with a virtual celebration of the 2021 recipients of the Faculty Scholar and Excellence in Teaching Awards. Congratulations again to Professors Falguni Ghosh, Crystal Quillen, and Maria Crescenzio. The Grants Department, under the leadership of Director Jamilet Femo-Govez, has submitted applications for a wide variety of grants, and I'm happy to report that the college has been awarded 12 grants to date in this calendar year, totaling over $6.5 million. Some of these grants are for multiple years. Note that grant funds rarely are able to be used for regular operating expenses. Rather, the funds are to launch new initiatives or scale up existing initiatives that hold promise. These new grants will help us develop new opportunities, increase capacity, and serve our community in new ways. Here are just a few examples of the grants that have been awarded to the college since January. The U.S. Department of Education awarded the college a 3-year grant in the amount of $1.44 million to serve as the lead institution for a 5-college consortium to develop open educational resource textbooks in 12 highly enrolled STEM and career and technical education courses. Library Director Marilyn Ochoa serves as the principal investigator for that grant. The National Junior College Athletic Association awarded the college a grant in the amount of $10,000 to start a men's volleyball team. Assistant Athletic Director Carrie Monkowski was instrumental in securing that grant. The Governor's Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Committee awarded the college a grant in the amount of $55,000 to improve access to educational and professional services for residents at the Middlesex County Juvenile Detention Center. Professor Alex Fields was instrumental in securing that grant. The New Jersey Office of the Secretary of Higher Education awarded the college a 2-year hunger-free campus grant in the amount of $100,000 to help address student food insecurity, and a 2-year Opportunity Meets Innovation Challenge grant in the amount of $542,000 to support the implementation of a pilot ESL College Navigator project aimed at low-income, first-generation ESL students. Basic Needs Coordinator Amanda Lyons serves as the Program Director for the Hunger Free Campus Grant, and ESL Languages and Cultures Department Chair Gary Abbott and Educational Opportunity Fund Director Alex Delgado serve as the program co-directors for the Opportunity Meets Innovation Challenge grant. The Rutgers Community Health Foundation awarded the college a grant in the amount of $85,000 to provide under and unemployed working-age English language learner adults in the city of New Brunswick an opportunity to participate in a pre-apprenticeship program to develop skills to be eligible for a healthcare apprenticeship. New Brunswick Center Director Evelyn Rosa serves as the project director. The state of New Jersey awarded the college a 3-year grant in the amount of $3 million with the support of a $1 million match from Middlesex County under the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act's focus on career and technical education program expansion. The grant will support career and technical academic program enhancements in the construction and expansion of classrooms and laboratories to expand capacity in programs such as nursing, engineering, biotechnology, cybersecurity, and supply chain management. The funding also supports the equipment needed for the new degree programs that align with emerging in-demand occupations as identified in Middlesex County's Destination 2040 strategic plan and programs being developed by Middlesex County vocational technical schools. Thanks to our colleagues who worked to develop the grant applications. If you see a grant opportunity you think is worth considering, please contact John Millette. We created a new virtual hub for new student orientation that provides new students access to resources and services in one location. We developed Middlesex College 101, a virtual live series of workshops that provide students and their families with an opportunity to learn about what to expect in the first semester. As of mid-August, over 700 new students have participated. We created a virtual advising hub for students and launched New Student Day for new students. We developed and piloted a 5-week virtual summer bridge program for incoming EOS students. We created a student life canvas group to keep the Middlesex College community informed about events and services, and over 8,500 students and employees are subscribed to the group. We supported students in need by distributing over 660 bags of food to nearly 140 students and providing students with grocery gift cards totaling nearly $6,000. Through the generosity of so many of us, we were able to provide over $8,000 in emergency fund assistance to students to help with course materials, rent, utilities, and other basic needs. We were able to run a safe summer camp for nearly 200 children and youth. We launched our new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiative. Over 140 members of our college community volunteered to participate in the initiative, including employees, students, and alumni. During the spring semester, the DEI Advisory Council and 4 associated task forces began their work. They accomplished the following: the development of a common DEI vocabulary, the development of a charge for each of the 4 task forces: employee recruitment, campus climate, inclusive curricula and teaching, and community engagement. The recommendation of a new strategic goal focused on equity, which the Board of Trustees approved in June in reaffirming and extending for 2 more years the college's current strategic plan. Note that a calendar of DEI events is being developed and the first event for the new academic year, Hallmarks of an Anti-Racist Institution, will be held virtually on Friday, September 17th at 10 a.m. Mark your calendars. Our students and alumni also continue to achieve new heights. Our student newspaper, Quo Vadis, received 12 awards from the New Jersey Collegiate Press Association. Our amazingly talented visual and performing arts students put on an evening of live-streamed dance and theater performances featuring original dance compositions led by Professor Amy Minnicioni and short plays written by Rachel Carnes and directed by Professor Anna Sycamore Demers. 5 Middlesex College Business Administration students were recognized for their academic achievement by the New Jersey Collegiate Business Administration Association Honor Society. 2021 valedictorian Richa Nayak was awarded the Phi Theta Kappa Transfer Scholarship by Rutgers University. 2021 graduate Sanjana Bhutala was selected as one of 3 transfer trustee scholars by Rider University, which fully covers the cost of tuition. Sanjana was also a semifinalist for the prestigious Jack Kent Cook Scholarship. 2021 graduate Asha Lee Ashton was awarded the prestigious Raymond Manganelli Scholarship from the New Jersey American Industrial Hygiene Association, a scholarship traditionally bestowed on graduate students. 2021 graduate Jake Ferraro, pitcher for the Middlesex College baseball team, achieved an immaculate inning. He faced 3 batters and mowed them down on 3 pitches each for a total of 9 strikes, a rare feat. 2021 graduate Yelida Martinez opened her business Yelida Bakes, which specializes in Dominican sweets. That brings us to now. Before I talk about what is planned for the coming academic year, I want to provide an update on college finances, how our finances have fared over the past several years, what this year's revenues and expenses look like, and how we as a college community can continue to move towards fiscal stability. The college budget, just like each of our household budgets, is a matter of simple arithmetic. In order to operate in the black, we need to take in more in income or revenue than we expend. Unfortunately, this is not as easy as it may sound, given several trends in recent years, with key college revenue sources flat or decreasing, and most categories of expenditures, particularly personnel costs, insurance, and utilities, increasing. Of course, the college does not begin each fiscal year with our projected revenues magically appearing in the college bank account on July 1. The college accrues revenue throughout the year from sources such as state and county appropriations, tuition and fees, non-credit courses, and facilities rentals. The revenue projections on which the budget is based are our best guess at the time the budget is developed. Sometimes our revenues exceed projections. Other years, as has been the case for the last several years, revenues are less than what was projected. Until 2014, college revenues generally met or exceeded expenses. That trend changed around 2015, with expenses now exceeding revenues. The college's primary revenue sources are tuition and fees from credit-bearing courses, county appropriations, and state appropriations, in that order. Tuition and fees alone comprise 58% of our projected revenues for this year's budget. Here is the pie chart for the budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Until 2 years ago, for many years, county appropriations had remained flat. Until this year, state appropriations had also remained flat for the past 13 years. More on that in a moment. The only revenue source over which the college maintains control is tuition and fees. Until 2 years ago, and for the 10 years prior to that, the college increased tuition by only $2 per credit every year, an increase of less than 2%. During that time, the college did not increase standard fees at all. During years when our enrollment was increasing, that modest annual increase to tuition alone provided sufficient additional revenue to cover increased operating costs. Once our enrollment began to decrease in 2013, and with state and county appropriations remaining flat, our revenues began to drop while our expenditures continued to increase, causing those streams to cross and the college to begin operating at a deficit each year. The college has operated at a loss for the 7 of the past 8 years. That means our expenditures have exceeded our revenues. After I was appointed interim president by the Board of Trustees 3 years ago, I was able to gain a more in-depth understanding of college finances. Since that time, as part of the development of the college budget for the last 2 years, I have recommended to the board a greater increase in tuition and fees, a total of $8 per credit for the 2020-2021 academic year, and a total of $12 per credit for the 2021-2022 academic year. Even with such increases, the tuition and standard fees at Middlesex College still rank near the lowest of any community college in the state and remain extremely affordable. You will note that the college's budget for the current fiscal year 2021-2022, is nearly $7 million less than the budget for last year, $74 million, down from $81 million. That budget was predicated on a 5% increase in credit enrollment over fiscal year 2020-2021, which, as you will recall, saw an 11% decrease in enrollment from the year before, fiscal year 2019-2020, as well as a return to pre-pandemic levels for other revenue streams, non-credit, facilities rentals, and user fees. So how is our enrollment for this fall semester? As of yesterday, fall enrollment is down 12.8% from last fall. That means a decrease in enrollment from 2 years ago of nearly 25%, and more importantly, projects to at least 13% less than the revenues projected for the fall semester as part of this year's budget. As I have said many times before, enrollment is everyone's responsibility. Our colleagues in admissions and recruitment and everyone in student enrollment services have done an incredible job of trying to recruit as many new students as possible, as well as encouraging students who attended in the spring and summer to return this fall. Here are a few highlights of what we are seeing for fall enrollment. The number of new students is down again. Applications from several major sending high schools are down significantly, especially New Brunswick and Perth Amboy. Applications thankfully remain steady from last year, or slightly increasing from sending high schools in other areas such as Edison and Woodbridge. While I certainly hope we are able to recruit and enroll more students for the fall semester in the next few days, at this point, any students enrolling at this time would likely be for fall late start courses, or more likely, the spring semester. Here is the sobering news about how another decrease in enrollment will affect the college budget this year. If fall enrollment remains at its current level, and spring enrollment runs at about 85% of fall enrollment, which has been the case for many years, the difference in projected tuition and fees this fiscal year, as compared to what was budgeted, is a shortfall of $7 million. Given the slow return to pre-pandemic normal, we are likely to experience a similar shortfall in other revenue sources, such as non-credit and facilities rentals. At this point, we are projecting an operating deficit of $8 million. Just like last year, we will continue to focus on ways to reduce costs and generate as much revenue as possible. So I am hopeful that at the end of the year, the operating deficit will be less than currently projected. The budget for the current fiscal year already reflects an increase in county appropriations, as well as the board-approved increase in tuition and fee rates. It does not reflect a modest increase in state appropriations. You may have read in the news that after 13 years of flat state funding for community colleges in New Jersey, the governor and state legislature approved a $10 million increase in funding to the entire community college sector. Such an increase was based on a move to performance-based funding, which 37 other states already have in place. For nearly 20 years, the funding formula for allocating state appropriations to the 18 community colleges was based primarily on fixed numbers related to each college's status around 2000 for the numbers of students in developmental education and continuing education courses, both of which Middlesex College did well vis-a-vis the other community colleges at that time. Only a small percentage of the formula was related to each college's share of overall enrollment in credit courses. The new formula, which is still in the approval process, first by the New Jersey Council of County Colleges and then by the New Jersey Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, or OSHE, is based largely on metrics related to student outcomes, such as the diversity of our students and graduates, number of students over the age of 25, and total number of degrees and certificates awarded. If OSHE approves the new funding formula, Middlesex College will realize a modest increase in our share of state appropriations for the next 5 years, as every community college is guaranteed a new floor of 2% more than last year's funding. After that 5-year phase-in period, appropriations will be allocated to each community college based solely on the new performance metrics, without a guaranteed floor. For this fiscal year, the college is likely to see an increase of approximately $220,000 in state funding. I want to address a few questions I have heard about our budget. First, some of you have asked about the federal stimulus funds that have been awarded to the college by the U.S. Department of Education, and how those funds are able to be used to help the college through these difficult fiscal times. Here's a chart that shows those funds. They were awarded over time in accordance with 3 acts of Congress. As you will see, a little over $20 million of those funds must be shared directly with students in need in the form of grants. The remaining $34 million may be used for institutional purposes. However, there are varying degrees of restriction on the use of the institutional funds depending on the stimulus package. In general, the funds must be used to address needs of the college and students that arose since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020. Some of the institutional funds have been expended and accounted for to purchase items such as laptops and cleaning supplies. Approximately $1.8 million of institutional funds were recently used to forgive debt owed to the college by nearly 2,300 students from March 2020 through this summer. Another portion of the institutional funds have been used to account for operating losses in fiscal years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021. A small portion of institutional funds will be used to address infrastructure needs, especially in IT and facilities. Such strategic uses of the institutional funds hold the promise of increasing capacity and efficiency and reducing future ongoing costs in those areas. The remainder of institutional funds, approximately $16 million, once properly accounted for, will be held in reserve for this fiscal year and the next year or two. That was what the stimulus funds were intended for, to help colleges and universities continue to operate through these challenging circumstances. If the projected operating deficit for the current fiscal year of $8 million holds, we will certainly need those remaining funds to balance our budget, and will need to rely on those funds for the next few years until our revenues once again surpass our expenses. In addition, some of you have asked why we do not dip into the college's fund reserve. Unfortunately, as you saw in a chart I shared earlier about the college's operating losses over the past several years, we have been dipping into our fund reserve. Good fiscal practice is to maintain a reserve equal to at least 25 to 30% of our annual budget. On our current budget of $74 million, that means we should maintain a fund reserve in the range of $19 million to $23 million. According to the external audit of fiscal year 2019-2020, our fund reserve was $21.7 million as of June 30, 2020. Our fund reserve as of June 30, 2021 is likely to be in the range of $17 million. We will not know for certain until the external audit of fiscal year 2020-2021 has been completed. As we ponder the college's fiscal state, and especially as we face another significant decrease in enrollment, we need to continue to do our utmost to hold the line on expenses. I appreciate all that everyone has done since the beginning of the pandemic to eliminate, reduce, or defer expenses where possible. The 4 cost-saving measures I put in place in May 2020 will remain in effect for now. Replacement of full-time vacancies only as needed. Continued scrutiny of part-time hiring and scheduling. Non-critical college-funded facilities projects on hold. Limited employee travel. Of those 4 cost-saving measures, the 2 that produced the greatest amount of savings this past year were the evaluation of the need to replace full-time employees on a case-by-case basis when they retire or resign, and a focus on containing part-time personnel costs. Here is a chart of the number of full-time employees over the past several years, bouncing around from the low to mid 500s. Fewer than half of the full-time positions that have become vacant since March 2020 have been replaced or are in the process of being replaced. The remainder of those vacancies will remain unfilled for the time being. During the early months of the pandemic, many colleges and universities in New Jersey furloughed or laid off employees. In consultation with our Board of Trustees, I advocated that the college hold off on taking such action, relying instead on cost-saving measures and an intentional reliance on the college's fund reserve. I am continuing to advocate that we do not make cuts to full-time staff at this time. However, if our primary revenue source, tuition and fees paid by students, does not begin to rebound within the next year, we will have little other option available to bring expenses in line with decreased revenues. There is a limit to the savings that the cost-saving measures will produce, and at some point, we may need to adjust the numbers of employees to reflect the reduced size of our institution based on our enrollment. What can each of us do? In addition to maintaining a focus on containing or reducing costs, let's also focus on attention on increasing revenues. Here are a few examples. In addition to recruiting traditional-age students, we will continue to try to recruit more adult learners. As we implement the new marketing plan, there will be more targeted campaigns, including campaigns to spread the word about the Community College Opportunity Grant that covers the cost of tuition and most fees for students whose family adjusted gross income is less than $65,000. Under the leadership of Joni Cafaro, the Continuing Education Division is intently focused on expanding our partnerships with the business community and developing new partnerships. We face some incredible challenges at this time. Nonetheless, I believe we are up for the challenge. We are a community of individuals dedicated to our mission. We understand the transformative nature of a community college education. Let us continue to innovate and serve our students and our community. In the past, when there's been a disruption in the status quo, such as in transportation, communication, or technology, institutions that adapt are the ones that emerge stronger from the disruption. We have had to adapt to the conditions imposed by the pandemic. I hope we continue to learn from this experience new ways of operating, teaching, and providing service, and carry those lessons with us into our future. Let us keep thinking about how to position Middlesex College to stand out from the pack as the world adapts to a post-pandemic new normal. Here are a few examples of ways in which Middlesex College is positioning to be a leader among colleges in New Jersey and beyond. We are building a new state-of-the-art dental hygiene clinic. We are continuing to implement our new marketing plan and branding strategies. We are redesigning the college website. We are in the process of developing a new 10-year master plan, including an academic master plan component. We are continuing to strengthen the college relationship with high schools in Middlesex County. We are strengthening the college relationship with the business community in Middlesex County. I'm incredibly proud of all that we are doing. I look forward to another year of exploration and growth to ensure that Middlesex College continues to thrive. It is now my pleasure to introduce our new full-time colleagues who were hired since the fall convocation. The new employees are Victor Adorno, mechanic, facilities; Cindy Braun, instructor, hospitality, culinary arts, and dietetics; Stephen Chudnick, project coordinator, library services; Joni Cafaro, executive director, workforce development and lifelong learning, continuing education; Rocco Constantino, athletic director, athletics; Anabel Hernandez, athletic trainer, athletics; Alyssa Ignacio, social media and marketing coordinator, marketing and communications; Josie M. Martinez, instructor, engineering; Kristen Miranda, graphic designer, marketing and communications; Joan O'Brien, New Brunswick Center coordinator, New Brunswick Center; Alex Rowe, assistant web developer, marketing and communications; Sherry Rose Rubin, instructor, business and computer science; Garol Santilma, one-stop training coordinator, continuing education; Evan Slutsky, grounds manager, facilities management; Mike Tavarone, associate director for financial reporting, finance; Nadine Thompson, instructor, dental hygiene; and Young Soo Yang, copywriter, marketing and communications. Note that the 4 new full-time tenure-track faculty members are no strangers to Middlesex College. 2 are proud alumni. All 4 taught at Middlesex College as an adjunct or recently served as a 1-semester only or 1-year only full-time faculty member. In addition, 9 full-time faculty members were promoted in academic rank effective this semester, and several other full-time employees have assumed new roles at the college since January. Jennifer Appleby, professor, mathematics; Nick Archer, associate professor, history and social sciences; Eddie Avila, event custodian, facilities management; Carol Serqua, controller, finance; Marion Curry, associate chair, business and computer science; Chris Drew, assistant professor, history and social sciences; Sean Ferguson, police officer 2; Alex Fields, professor, English; George Goros, human resources business partner, human resources; Christopher Halley, police officer 2; Annie Lantigua, human resources coordinator, human resources; Sean Lockwood, groundsperson 1, facilities management; Melissa Luis, associate professor, history and social sciences; Joe Monty, mechanic 2, facilities management; Joe Nessie, assistant professor, business and computer science; Moet Nigam, assistant professor, natural sciences; Giuseppe Rotolo, assistant professor, history and social sciences; Andy Rubin, assistant professor, hospitality, culinary arts, and dietetics; Jeff Stash, warehouse person 1, facilities maintenance; Rick Sudnick, assistant director, buildings and operations, facilities management; Gina Vilches, benefits coordinator, human resources. Welcome to our newest colleagues, and congratulations to our colleagues who are now serving in new positions or have been promoted. Before I close, I want to share a story that illustrates the power of the work we do. Several weeks ago, I found two young men on the first floor of Chambers Hall who appeared to be lost. As those of us who worked here for a number of years know, the admissions and recruitment office used to be located in Chambers Hall before it moved to West Hall almost 4 years ago. One of the young men was holding documents in his hand. I asked if I could help, and the older of the two indicated they were looking for admissions. I explained that admissions and recruitment was now located in West Hall and offered to walk them over. On the walk to West Hall, I learned that the two young men were brothers, Pedro and Juan Pablo. Pedro is a proud 2017 Middlesex College graduate who just earned his bachelor's degree in computer science from NJIT. He's the man on the left in the hat. Juan Pablo, Pedro's younger brother, just graduated from high school and is enrolling in Middlesex this fall. He plans to major in business administration. Pedro has such a wonderful experience at Middlesex College that Juan Pablo wants to follow in his brother's footsteps. Middlesex College has an excellent reputation in our community, and yet there are so many of our neighbors in the county who are not aware of all that we have to offer. As we embark on a new semester, I exhort us all to redouble our commitment to our mission, to continue to innovate, and to do all that we can to spread the word about what Middlesex College has to offer to our friends, family members, and neighbors. This concludes the State of the College presentation. Here's wishing all of us another successful semester. See you on campus.